Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Before we begin today's video, I wanted to take a moment to celebrate World Watercolor Month. If you've been around my channel for a while, you'll already be familiar with this community event. For those of you who haven't heard about it before, World Watercolor Month was founded by Charlie O'Shields over at Doodle Wash. Every July, the community celebrates our favorite medium. There is a 31-day challenge if you would like to participate in the official prompts, but it is certainly not required. Any watercolor artwork uploaded to your social media in July can be tagged with hashtag World Watercolor Month to share your creations with others. In addition to sharing our passions with others in the community, supporting watercolor artists, and introducing new artists to the medium, another huge component of World Watercolor Month is raising awareness and funds for children's art programs. This year, World Watercolor Month is raising funds for the International Child Art Foundation. Over a dozen artists have donated artwork to the World Watercolor Month shop, where 100% of proceeds from these limited edition zipper pouches are donated to ICAF. You'll likely see many familiar faces in the shop, along with the other World Watercolor Month merch. Be sure to check out the shop. Don't forget to tag all of your watercolor pieces on social media this month with World Watercolor Month, and check out the hashtag to support other watercolor artists. Today we are going to be kicking off World Watercolor Month by revisiting an old series here on the channel. My top 5 favorite series kicked off at the end of 2017. Throughout the series we talked about my favorite colors within each major color grouping. When we ran out of colors, we moved on to things like brushes, brands, and even general watercolor tips. Given that this series started 3.5 years ago, I thought it was time for an update as we start to celebrate World Watercolor Month. How much have my favorite and most used colors changed in that time? Let's find out. We're starting off with my top 5 favorite yellows. I also want to mention that rather than ranking these from my least favorite to most favorite colors like I did in the original series, these are simply painted out in a mostly pleasing spectral order, so there's no ranking system. Each is simply a grouping of my favorites from each category. The yellows are one of my more consistent categories as compared to the original series. We're starting off with Nickel Azo Yellow made from PY 150. This swatch is from Core, but I don't have a strong brand preference for this pigment. Next up is Benzimidazolone Yellow PY 154. I am currently using Da Vinci's Da Vinci Yellow, but do not have a strong brand preference for this color. There are a couple colors on this overall list that were difficult to include due to a lack of current availability, and this is one of them. However, there was no way that I could exclude the original quinacridone gold made from PO49 from my list of favorites. PO49 is no longer available in watercolors, but my favorite hue is Indian Gold from White Nights. Yellow Ochre is my favorite earth yellow and can be found in nearly every brand, either being made from PY42 or PY43. Daniel Smith's version continues to be my favorite. When looking for a yellow ochre, I do prefer to look for a semi-transparent version that is not opaque but also isn't completely transparent. My final yellow rounding out the bunch is a very specific recommendation for Da Vinci's Raw Sienna Deep made from PY42. It is cooler than most other yellow ochres that I've worked with and has a beautiful granulation to it. I wouldn't use this instead of a yellow ochre, but I like it in addition to. Oranges are up next, and only 2 of my original picks from the series made this second pass. Those of you who have been on the channel for a while know I am not into bright oranges, but I do love my earth oranges. This odd duck is making the list based on a technicality, since Schmincke calls this color tundra orange, despite it being more of a light earth brown, and I needed a 5th color to round out my other selections. Moving on to less controversial oranges, we have quinacridone burnt orange made from PO48. This rusty color will go down very vibrant when wet, but usually dries to a much more mellow earth tone. I don't have a strong brand preference for this one. I admittedly don't use transparent red oxide super often, but it is becoming a more regularly visited color on my palette. I pick up this transparent PR101 when I'm looking for a deeper quin burnt orange with a touch of granulation. This sample is from Daniel Smith because I had it on hand. However, I have not tried the other versions of this color to definitively say whether or not I like one better over another brand. The most proper orange on this palette is transparent orange from Winsor & Newton, PO107 or PONA. This vibrant, saturated orange is just the right shade for me when it comes to a bright orange. Finally, we have another discontinued color, and this is Daniel Smith's old version of transparent pyrrole orange made from PO71. They still offer this color in their line, but it is no longer the same deep, almost red hue. It closer matches the transparent orange that you saw before. I am genuinely sorry to my orange-loving viewers if this list in particular was a bit disappointing for you, but I just don't use oranges very often. Since this video is about my favorite and most used colors, it would feel wrong for me to put other oranges on this list just for the sake of presenting a more well-rounded, versatile selection. Reds and pinks are up next, and this is another fairly consistent category from the previous series. First up is Pyrrole Red, PR254. This is my bright, slightly warm-leaning red. This swatch is from Da Vinci, but I don't have a strong brand preference for this pigment. The next red I do have a specific recommendation for, and that is Da Vinci's Alizarin Crimson Quinacridone. It is made from PV19, but is the reddest version of this pigment that I have worked with. It is my favorite deep red. We're going with good old quinacridone rose made with PV19 for my pink pick. PV19 does vary both in hue and names a whole lot, but out of the rose options, I don't have a super strong brand preference. I typically have Da Vinci on hand, but also like Daniel Smith and Mission Gold's version as well. Quartz Quinacridone Magenta, made from PR122, is by far my favorite magenta option. It is incredibly vibrant. Rounding out this category, we have Potter's Pink made from PR 233. I like Schminke and Roman Schmalz versions, though I have worked with the latter much less than the former. Purples and violets are up next, and this category has a nice balance of old and new favorites, starting with Quinacridone Violet made from PV19. This is Quar's version, but there are also PV55s that have a similar hue. Rose of Ultramarine by Daniel Smith was my first favorite purple, and I think it will always be among my favorites for that reason. I don't find it to be a particularly useful mixing color, but it is so gorgeous on its own. Perylene Violet made from PV29 is another staple on my main palette. I do not have a brand preference. Dioxazine Violet made from PV23 is my best mixing purple. I don't have a brand preference, but do tend to prefer the warmer shades over the cooler ones. But you could probably already tell that from the purples you've seen so far. My favorite specialty purple is Shadow Violet from Roman Schmal. From the moment that I use this color, I haven't been able to stop. The next category that we're looking at are the blues, and this is another group that has a mix of old and new favorites. First up is Indian Throne Blue, made from PB60. I don't have a strong brand preference for this color anymore, except that I don't like Daniel Smith's version, which is too gray and muted for me. Mayan Dark Blue, made from PB82, is probably the least light fast color on my palette, so I will recommend it with a grain of salt. You do have to protect your artwork made with this one, but it is so dang pretty that I can't help myself. I think the only version that I have used before is Daniel Smith, though I could be forgetting something. Ultramarine blue is of course a palette staple and essential mixing color for many people. There is a huge range of granulation across brands, so choose one based on your own personal preference. I like the highly granulating ones for special projects, but I keep Sennelier's Ultramarine Deep on my main mixing palette as I find it a more reliable mixer. The last two blue picks are newcomers, starting with Cerulean Blue. This gorgeous granulating light blue can come either from PB35 or PB36. I haven't done enough testing of all the brands and all the variations to pick out an overall favorite, but I do tend to prefer the warmer shades. Again, I like the highly granulating versions for special projects and washes, but M. Graham's Cerulean Blue or Da Vinci's Cerulean Blue Genuine are on my big mixing palette, and you'll see why near the end of this video. We need a cool blue, and my favorite is PB16 Phthalo Turquoise. I find it more versatile as a cyan-like color over the traditional phthalo blue. I do not have a brand preference. My favorite greens have also seen a bit of a shakeup, so let's start with two that were on my last list. Perylene Green, like Perylene Violet, is an essential dark mixing color on my palettes these days. It is made from PBK31, and I don't have a strong brand preference. Phthalo Green Blue shade made from PG7 is another important mixing color for me. Once again, I do not have a strong brand preference. This next one is one of the most niche picks on the entire list, and that is Florentine Green from Stone Ground Paint Co. Stone Ground is a handmade paint company in Canada, but this PG17 is different from every other version of chromium oxide that I have ever tried. It is not as opaque or flat as the other versions that I have used, and the granulation is so stunningly gorgeous. For my sap green option, you know I had to go with Denise's green from Da Vinci. My first green watercolor love was Daniel Smith's original sap green that used the quinacridone gold in its formula. I was determined to have a similar color on my mixing palette with Da Vinci, and I will be forever grateful that they agreed to mix this one up for me. Rounding out the greens is actually a component of Denise's green, and that's Azo Green made with PY129. This barely green is great for mixing other shades of green and neutralizing reds. I do not have a brand preference, though this one is from Core. So next up are the browns, which were simultaneously the most and least difficult to compile. I love earth tones so much, so cutting out all these specialty colors feels impossible. However, my 5 most used browns are also extremely easy to list. First up is Burnt Sienna, made from PBR7. I feel like I've tried nearly every commercial brand and even several handmade brands of burnt sienna, and none of them are quite the same as Daniel Smith's, which is the first one that I ever used. I've not been able to find another similar substitute for it, though Da Vinci's is a close second. Next is Indian Red, an opaque PR 101. There are many shades of opaque PR 101 that I love, and many that granulate stunningly. However, this relatively smooth version from M. Graham is velvety soft on cold press watercolor paper, perfect for many animal ears and noses when diluted, and it mixes beautifully. Piemontite Genuine from Daniel Smith is the specialty color that I landed on including for these browns. It heavily granulates and has a beautiful texture. However, you could easily substitute one of the granulating PR 101s like Caput Mortem or Violet Iron Oxide in its place. We're going to round out this selection with both umbers, burnt umber and raw umber. I don't have a strong preference for brands as long as they are made with the single pigment PBR7, but typically I default to Da Vinci or Daniel Smith since they are affordable in my area. We are ending this video with an entirely new category. I didn't include blacks or grays at all in the original series, but I use a lot more of them these days, so here are my top 5. First up is my favorite neutral tint from M. Graham. This version is made from 2 pigments and leans towards purple. It makes for some very vibrant darks when mixed with other colors. Next up is a more neutral tint from Daniel Smith. This is my go-to for quick blacks when painting details like eyes and noses. My favorite specialty dark color is a blue-gray called Sodalite Genuine from Daniel Smith. It granulates heavily and makes for interesting washes, but I don't use it when I want a solid black. The next one is another niche pick from Stone Ground Paint Co., though it is available from some other handmade companies as well. Vivianite is such a gorgeous color, especially for fluffy gray animals like koalas. final color for this video is actually not available in a tube, but there was no way that I could make a black and gray category without including my favorite mixture. Mixing together smoother versions of a warm cerulean blue and Indian red, I use M. Graham and or Da Vinci's versions, makes a beautiful and interesting gray. You can alter it to be cooler or warmer in the different areas of the painting, and the texture is so soft and wonderful. This combination does not look the same if you are using highly granulating versions of these pigments across different brands. Doing so will cause the mixture to separate more as it dries, creating a unique wash that will read more as an earth red and a warm blue simultaneously, but not together as a gray, if that makes sense. So here are my top 40 colors in total as of June 2021. Please keep in mind that the subjects that you paint will highly impact what colors you gravitate towards and use most often. These may be my most used colors, but you may have a whole different set that you enjoy working with. So what do you think of the selection? Are there any other must-haves on your own palettes that didn't make it onto my list here? A quick note for those of you still watching is that my Etsy shop is open today, July 1st, if you are watching this on the day that the video was released. After today, the shop will be closed until the fall, as I will be having surgery soon and will need time to recover. If you want to be the first to be notified when the shop reopens, head on over to my website and sign up for my mailing list. There's a link in the description below. Thank you all for taking the time to hang out with me today and look at my favorite watercolors. Happy World Watercolor Month, and I cannot wait to see what you all create. Thank you to my wonderful patrons who help keep me going, and until next time, happy painting.